out how to reference in files. So if I have, say, this cool little like flour sack rig guy, so if I have this little guy, you know, he's like a nice rig and he does things. If I wanted to start animating him, what I would usually do, especially for something like a rig, is I'd make a new file and then go to File, and instead of doing Import, I would do Create Reference, or I'd just press Control R. So I'll just do that really quick, and you can see, here's my flour sack rig file. So I'll click that, and yeah. So now I have my little flour sack guy in here, and I'm just gonna like throw some quick animations on him. Like, yay, he moves. He flaps fantastically. Huzzah. Beautiful flailing flour sack. But then let's say that I wanted to, I'm just gonna call this, I'll just overwrite this off. So let's say that I wanted to go back in and add another controller, or like add, I don't know, like a random extra piece of geometry. But I've already referenced this, or like, I don't want to, what am I saying? Alright, but pretty much what referencing does is it'll take, instead of importing it, which just creates a copy, it'll look back at this existing file, like the original rig file. So if I go back in and add like a random piece of geometry and maybe give this flour sack a random texture, in this case I'm going to just do a checker texture because checker textures are nice. They're also just easy to do. Yay! So this is my original rig file that I'm making changes to. So I'm going to save this, click through, and then go back into my my other file where I have the reference. Tackling me. And you can see that that piece of geometry is now in that scene, that random sphere I added, and my sack now has a texture. And he's also still animated. So referencing is really good for if you have something like a rig where you want to like make iterations to stuff, and you maybe don't want to have a bunch of like keyframes and animations and stuff on the file that could make that harder. And you can also, like, if you applied a texture to something like this flour sack, you can go in to the file that's referencing it and add a different texture to it. So a lot of times, like, what I like to do is I'll add some kind of basic texture into the rig file, and then I can like modify it in the reference files if I need to. But that way I theoretically don't need to recreate the same exact texture like 8 times in 8 different files, which is super nice. So the workflow that you usually use for, say you're updating your rig file, the workflow that I usually use is I'd have this sort of main flour sack file, and then what I would do is, I'm just going to save this as flour sack rig 1, use whatever naming convention makes sense to you, and then I would, I'm actually going to make some like really obnoxious dramatic changes to that, so I'm gonna straight up delete like this entire flour sack, or just all the rigs, I guess, from the flour sack, and then put like a cylinder in here, and make a, what am I doing? Make a random joint chain, because I can. Yay, joint chain. Cool. So this is my new file, and if this is for some reason a rig that I am happy with, what I'll do is I'll save this as, I'll just save my existing file that I'm in. And then I'll actually go through and I will overwrite this flour sack file. Yes. Do the things. And then if I go back and I open my file with the reference in it, you can see that it got rid of the entire rig, so obviously the animations on the flour sack are now gone. And it added the cylinder and the joint chain and all that stuff. So yeah, so pretty much the way referencing works is it'll sort of just look for a specific file name and then bring in whatever's in that file into your scene. So there are a few settings to be kind of aware of. The only ones that I really pay attention to are the namespaces. So pretty much what that does, if you look in the if you look in the outliner here, you can see that this this flour sack here, this mesh, everything pretty much has flour sack prefixed to it. And that's the namespace. So pretty much why Maya does that is if you have something, if you're referencing in two files, and you have a square called square in the first file and a square called square in the second file, if you bring both of those in and they're both called square, Maya is going to explode. So it just throws by default the file name in front of the object's name, and it does that for pretty much everything. You can check that off, like if you have some really weird long file name, if you turn off use namespaces and then select resolve all nodes with this string, I could change this to like sack1 and sack2 instead of, you know, flour sack. It's just kind of a matter of preference, like whatever makes life easier for you. It's purely an aesthetic thing. I have references stuff with really long file names, and it's annoying when you have to like expand your outliner just to see a single line of something. But yeah, so that's pretty much referencing. I will show you really quick. So if I'll save this race file, and then I'll just show you. So if I have my nice original flour sack rig here without all of the extra exploded stuff in it, so I'll take this. I'll just save that if I have it, and then overwrite this flour sack rig that I referenced. Yay. And then I will go back and open up my other file with the race file with the reference to the sack rig. And you can see that it's even brought back my animations on all of the controls, and it's got rid of all the extra crap in the scene that I added to the second version. So, referencing is super good, super powerful, especially for stuff like rigging. You can also use it for environments and modeling and all of that good stuff. Yeah, that's pretty much referencing. I will, for Grinsies, I'm just going to do Control R. My computer's lagging pretty hard. So I'm just going to grab this flour sack again, and I will throw this in my scene again. And I'm going to go find the master control for the second sack I just put in, take it, drag it, and now I have two sacks. And you can see only the first one's animated because that's the only one that I animated. And then you could take these and, you know, drag them wherever you want and animate them as needed. But yeah, referencing, super fun, super good. Do the things, especially when rigging.